Album number 6. A lot of bands don't get to this point in their career, but Black Sabbath had accomplished this rather quickly. 1975, just a couple of years actually after their inception, they were working on album number 6, titled Sabotage. In fact, whenever you think about it, if you don't include the album that's supposed to come out in late 2012, they did 3 album number 6s. 3 times 6, or 18. Sabotage is a record that the band opted to kind of distance themselves a little bit more from Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, saying, Tony Iommi especially saying that they could have gone on and on and on, doing the same sound that they had done with the previous 5 records, getting more technical, adding orchestras, and doing all that fun shit. But they wanted to do a rock album. Sabotage was that rock album. Now, whenever you listen to this record, you can definitely tell that there's a stylistic shift. However, it's something that's kind of minute. Yes, that same heavy, dark sound is perhaps dissipated a little bit, but whenever you just get down to it, listen to it, for the music that is kind of encased within it, it still has a very, very nice edge to it. Not to mention, as a rock album, functions as a heavier or a harder rock album. Songs such as Hole in the Sky and Symptom of the Universe continue to be crowd favorites to this very day. Whereas other songs, longer songs such as The Writ, Megalomania, really kind of, take a look at what this band is able to do whenever they decide to explore the longer textures and the longer experimentations that perhaps they attempted more so in the first part and the earliest part of their career, such as songs as Black Sabbath. The album itself flows very nicely. This is an album that's very difficult to not listen to from start to finish because it does have a nice flow pattern to it. It's very consistent, and it also has a nice just overall feel to it. There's a lot of memorable riffs, and there's also, amongst this album's singles and amongst this album's fan favorite songs, a couple of nice surprises such as The Thrill of It All or Super Czar, which both really show a lot of an individuality to their own. This is an album that's chock full of individuality, which is something that makes it a very memorable album. However, it's one that a lot of people tend to ignore whenever they're listing their favorite Sabbath classic albums. Sabotage is actually one of the stronger records that could potentially thwart some of the typicals that are mentioned by the common public. Sabotage has a very unique, one-of-a-kind feel to it. It's bordering on that rock and metal side, almost as though this is one of the first albums to ever really discover that happy medium between the really dark and depraved and heavy side that was really existent in this time frame, while also at the same time kind of channeling back that classic rock idea that you would hear in bands such as Deep Purple. Ironically enough that we mentioned Deep Purple, considering later on in the Sabbath discography, members of Deep Purple would be in Black Sabbath. Then again, members of Deep Purple were freaking everywhere. At this point, members of Deep Purple were in Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow. I know. It's offshooting everywhere. It's ridiculous. Sabotage will go down as not so much a forgotten gem, but a gem that perhaps just doesn't have the same following as albums such as Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, such as Paranoid, Master of Reality, Black Sabbath, number 4. I know I just named the previous 5, but it's the truth. This is one of the albums that really kind of didn't have the same, feel to it for a lot of people. There are a lot of people that were very pleased with this album. This is once again the second straight album where the band encountered favorable reviews upon its release, but it's one that sold a little bit more poorly. And some people noted that that magic was starting to unravel. One place where I saw it unraveling whenever I listened to this release back in the day, and once again revisiting it now, is that Ozzy's vocals, as time has progressed, have gotten a little bit more strained and it seemed like a lot more forced. There's a lot of oomph behind it, and that's something that has always been part of Ozzy's core philosophy vocally. But there are some points on this album where it just seems like he's trying to do way too much. Either that, or he's just purposely influencing dissidents, whereas he should have taken a little bit more of a reserved backseat and kind of just allowed everything to flow. There are other moments where he does this, and it sounds a lot better. While I enjoy Hole in the Sky, I enjoy songs such as Am I Going Insane Radio or The Thrill of It All a lot better. Symptom of the Universe is also a song that I find to be particularly a nice centerpiece of the album. I find that the longer experimentations definitely have their proper place. At some points, it seems as though they are kind of just waiting to develop, but then they do develop. So this album does feel extremely complete. Overall, Sabotage is very, very fitting, because this is an album that would cause some unraveling for this band in the latter part of the 1970s, but this is a great last hurrah, so to speak. This is a great album to really kick down the door, destroy things one final time, like a bull in a china shop, before things really kind of got out of control. We'll talk more about that whenever we get to the next album.